Your comment is, as long as men continue to impregnate black women, our children will continue to suffer. Elaborate.
Absolutely. Black women aren't really designed for families. They're not here to build with black men. They're really here to destroy the black community. So if we keep impregnating the same women, we're going to keep getting the same results. We need to find women who are not black Americans.
I was going to give you some pushback, but I agree on some of that. So, but I need you to elaborate when you say black women aren't here to build. What do you mean by it? Do you mean that if they hadn't have ever got broken, that still would have been their assignment to destroy the black community?
I think that if the culture was to change, things would change, obviously. But as long as these particular black women are alive, they're going to have a lot of influence on other younger black women. You can't really get away from it until you wipe the slate clean. So something has to happen to remove these particular black women from the scenario. And then we can build proper. But as long as
people, I was fully prepared to give this brother all of the smoke, but I can't find a lie. When did you come to this understanding?
Years ago. And I discovered that if you, as a black man, if you want to be an active father in your children's lives, your children almost have to be mixed, because the black American woman will not allow you to be in your children's life. And the more you love that child, the more she's going to use the child against you.
Damn! This brother's up here dropping that ether. Have you witnessed this before in your immediate proximity, in your family's life and in friends' lives, things like that? The difficulty associated with it?
Absolutely. I have cousins, sisters. I've seen this behavior perpetuate itself throughout my entire lineage. And I respect everyone. I love everyone. You do whatever you want to do. But if you're a thinking black man, I don't think you can sit down and try to build with a black American woman. Maybe an African woman, maybe a Caribbean woman, Asian, Hispanic, but not a black woman, not a black American woman.
Damn it. Listen. You guys know me. If I were to try to give him some pushback, you guys would call me hypocrites, because you've heard me say everything that he's saying right now dozens and dozens of times. When you hear men like this displaying their contempt, there's a problem. There's a problem. If men view the women like this, where are we going to get the kids from? Because quality men won't lay down with women like this. So that means these women will only other options they'll have is to lay down with other broken men. And then what do you think comes out of that vahoo when a broken man lies down with a broken woman? You think a scholar comes out of that vagina? No. It's going to be the very individual who comes by and gunpoints one of us for our wallet.
I did notice that if an Asian wants a good black man, she can always find a good black man. Hispanics, whites, everyone seems to be able to find a good black man, except a black American woman. So I don't think the problem is necessarily the black man. I think the problem is that he has this senseless obsession with trying to focus on the black American woman. The black American woman has made it very clear that she does not stand with us. She does not respect us. She does not love us. And we have to accept that. But we can build beautiful families just by going to women who appreciate us.
These people have not heard anything that is foreign to their ears. I think when I first started saying this, I have a show, and it is called African American Women Will Be Used as the Tool to Destroy America. In that show, we were talking about how these women are literally being utilized as the hands of the powers that be to move things where they want these things moved, like pawns, you know what I mean? The reason why you see people fighting so hard for African American women's votes is because they are the largest demographic of single women. Now, here's the thing with that. Women who aren't single, they have to check in with their husbands before they make significant moves. And they're a little bit more difficult to control when they have a husband. Just like studies show that women spend more than everybody, and when they're single, they spend even more. That's because a woman who is not under the authority of a man, I believe this. Now, this is going to be crazy even for you. I believe turbulence, people. For those of you who aren't familiar with the show, when you hear that, I'm probably about to rock the boat a little bit. I believe as women come out of the vagina, they are innately bad people until they come up under the authority of a man.
Yes.
I believe that our grandmothers and our aunties, who everybody brags about, and I'm talking about, oh, this amazing behavior, the what did we call it? Traditional women, this and that. I believe that they were that because of our grandfathers. If our grandfathers had not had such a tight leash on them and put their foots on those ladies' necks, I believe our grandmothers, a portion of our grandmothers and our aunties, would have been hoes, bust downs, and ratchets had they been allowed to move how they wanted to.
I think that many of our grandmothers are precisely that. I found out that some of my uncles, sincerely, I found out that some of my uncles aren't even my grandpa's children. So even back then, my grandmother actively cheated on my grandfather with different men. My grandfather didn't know this. He raised these men like these were his own children. So I think black women have never really been loyal to black men.
I agree. I believe what we saw that we respected and have the compliments that we have on our grandmothers and people like that, it's because of how the men were governing those women. And I also believe this. There's something that let these men know that they needed to govern these women like this. They witnessed some things. Listen, if you go back to the Bible is loaded with cautionary tales about a woman, right? He talks about her nature, how she sits back and she waits on a man to enter the town gate so she can seduce him, right? You go back and you look at what Delilah did to Samson. This is not to make the value of a woman of zero, because we know that if God saw that there was an issue with men and the cure was him creating this woman, then we know that the value that God saw on this woman. But there was never no time when we were equal. There is nothing about us that is equal, right? And here's where we hear the explosions. When you pour baking soda into a car gas tank, which is the same thing with women who God Almighty said you are to be. For those of you who have never come to a good example of what a helpmate is, view it as a type of personal assistant that a man is responsible for, who he can also love and create a family with. That is a helpmate. Now, what happens when the helpmate, the personal assistant, says, you know what, God, I appreciate that position that you gave me, but I'm going to respectfully decline. I'd like to be CEO. This is what we're seeing today. You disagree?
Not at all. I think that a woman is permanently a child. I mean, she can grow old, but she can never become a mature adult because her feelings are always more important than the truth, than reality. So, giving any woman any measure of authority, I think you're definitely going to doom that population. Whites knew this, so they gave black women all the authority.
100%. 100%. Turbulence, people.
Shalom. I would like to begin the lesson off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, and Kakwadash. That belongs unto the apostles and the elder bishops at Great Millstone who have taught me this truth through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bahashem, and Shai. Peace and salutations to the brothers out there, Christian truth. Want to see truth out there and how it's following I can. So, less Ephesians out there listening and learning, the Aquatin to you all. So, I say Shalom, which is brother Archie Bar back over with another lesson through the spirit. Just wanted to come to you all with some global and edifying today. Uh, so like it for the long video at the beginning, but nonetheless though, came across this video. I was kind of thinking of a topic my, my lesson. You had a lot of things that was going on that I could have talked about. And this is just what the spirit led me to talk about. Of course, I typically do lessons around these types of things and whatnot. And then just to mention a few, you had the guy who was ranking the Israelite camps and whatnot, that clown ass, soft, soft ass nigga. And then you had things going on with war, of course, too. But they was talking about how many people have been deleted and whatnot in the war. Nonetheless, though, I was gonna go ahead and talk about this. Uh, and I'm just gonna hit on a few points that they said. They said some pretty good points. And all these things, man, that they're talking about, once again, can be found in the scriptures. And it's not hard at all to realize these things. It's just you're starting to see, once again, like I said in my lesson the other day. They said some things that I said in my lesson the other day. You have men who are more and more coming to the light to the fact that women be on bullshit, right? And especially the Jake woman, so-called black Evite woman. The ones who get there for shit show be on bullshit, man. And once again, they're the least desired woman in the world, you know? Because men are, through the generations, bro, men are become tired of that same old bullshit that they bring, bro. And you have men who are older now, older than myself, who are telling younger men, the younger bros, not to fucking deal with these women, man. Cause shit ain't worth it. And it's not genuine, bro. They're not genuine at all. So I'm gonna just go ahead and hit on a few points that they said, man, to get some precepts and Lord willing to be edifying to the thought that listener watching.
Your comment is, as long as men continue to impregnate black women, our children will continue to suffer. Elaborate.
Absolutely. Black women aren't really designed for families. They're not here to build with black men. They're really here to destroy the black community. So if we keep impregnating the same women, we're going to keep getting the same results.
Right. You said two things I'm gonna first hit on. One is of course the book of Titus, the second chapter. If you go into that, man, our women and the examples that they set forth, and this is of course through collaboration with the damn devil Esau Edom, they've single-handedly helped destroy our community as a whole, bro. And that's the reason why brothers always say the Jake woman and the so-called white man are your biggest enemies, bro. It's not by coincidence that they say these things, man. You know? We're gonna read this and you let me know if these sound like the qualities of the so-called Jake woman. Because it's a very high majority of them. There's very, very few of them who possess these traits, man. It's it's safe to say that more so than not, they don't do these things. Says Titus 2:1, I'm gonna do my split screen today. Says, but speak thou of the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and charity and patience. Which you see more of our men do this than our women, right? The aged woman, likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not giving them much wine, teachers of good things. That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High Power be not blasphemed, man. Okay? So let's go ahead and read this in the NLT just so y'all can get a better understanding for those who don't know. We're playing upon tables. It says, verse 1, as for you, Titus, promote the kind of living that reflects wholesome teaching. Teach the older men to exercise self-control, to be worthy of respect, and to live wisely. So, they must have sound faith, and be filled with love and patience. you know? Because if you don't have patience as a man, it is very easy to be deleted out here, bro. You can't just react based on how you feel or your emotions as a man. You have to be in control of that. Men who are not controlled, who do not have their emotions under control, end up out here dead or fucked up or somewhere in jail. And most of those men are raised up by women, the so-called black women, man. That is a root problem. Now, they're not all to blame. Of course, my number one blame is going to they daddy Esau Edom. But y'all niggas aren't exempt neither, right? Which is why y'all all gonna get judged together. A good riddance. And I'm talking about wicked niggas too. Similarly, teach the older women to live in a way that honors the Most High Power. No woman on the earth lives in a way to honor that honors the Most High Power, or is even trying, especially amongst our women, because they're the ones who's supposed to uphold those qualities. You're not gonna find a woman that's dressing modest or that's fucking uh in subjection to her husband. They don't hold up these qualities that I'm about to read. And the only people that are the sisters. Or at least y'all are trying somewhat. And even then, some sisters don't possess these qualities. Likewise as brothers, and the Lord's just gonna sift those people out in due time. It says, similarly, teach the older women to live in a way that honors God. They must not slander others or be heavy drinkers, right? Most of these women out here, they call them pirates now. Instead, they should teach others what is good. These older women must train the younger women to love their husbands and their children. And they don't do neither of those things, right? They don't love their husbands, or if they do love their children, women will put their children before they put their husband, you know? Which is why you have so many women who use their children as weapons against their husband. Which is what he spoke about in the video. And they would rather get money or get an incentive from having those children, which is sad. To live wisely and be pure, to work in their homes. Now, of course, Esau Edom has made it to where it's damn near impossible to work in your home or be a stay-at-home mother. But those are the duties of our women. And once again, women fought to have to go to work. So that was also what Esau Edom doing. To do good and to be submissive to their husbands. Even then, y'all don't do that. Y'all don't be submit. Y'all not submissive to your husbands. Y'all don't follow after his rule. Y'all don't follow after his instruction. Which is why women suffer the things that they suffer nowadays, especially our women. Says, then they will not bring shame on the word of the Most High Power. The same way encourage the young man to live wisely. Okay. And then he said something else, which was in the book of Isaiah. The, that's like the first chapter. Mm, Salakia, Isaiah, the third chapter. This is Isaiah 3 and 11. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Right? So-called black women. Jake, man, is being ruled over by women, bro. They have more rights, responsibilities. No, not responsibilities, Salaki. They have more rights than us. They can control you. They have the ability to destroy a man's life, you know? And some men are even at their mercy with the help of Esau Edom, of course. It says, "O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths." Now, when did that occur? You know, when the woman took hold of that philosophy from Esau Edom. That's when that covenant that they created. So like that's when that covenant that they created came into effect. So like I'm thinking about I was literally just reading this earlier. So like because he said that at the end. Maybe I wasn't just reading Genesis 2. Nah, that's not right. So, like, Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh the Most High Power had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, how the Most High Power said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Most High Power hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Right? So the woman would rather, this is in the ancient times, bro. They would have rather choose death than to follow after the instructions of Yahweh Bashim Shah. Right. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Now, that serpent, if your spirit can receive it, which, let me get that serpent, right? It's not a mythological serpent. It wasn't an actual serpent or a snake, as you all may think. But a serpent or a snake is just somebody who is real, very deceiving, pretty much. If you were caught a snake back in those days, that's you then are being made as a liar. Like that's like the equivalent of being called a bitch or a whole ass nigga, right? It's just like it's seen as a, a very disrespectful term. But the serpent which deceived her was the so-called white man, Esau Edom. Okay. And the fruit that she deceived him or that he deceived her with was philosophy, you know. His philosophies, his ways of life, commandments of men, right? They pretty much made a pact with the devil. For the Most High Power doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Which is why the scriptures say, through the woman became the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Because she didn't follow after the instructions of the Heavenly Father. She did what the fuck she wanted to do. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat, which is why you cannot give strength to these hoes, because Adam was in the wrong for doing that. He shouldn't have followed after his woman. being a leader. He knew better, right? But as always, women is a man's biggest weakness. And that nigga was just being sick. So
Your comment is as long as men continue to impregnate black women, our
and Salakia, we don't need the J woman to keep the so-called black, which I'm talking about the Southern Kingdom, of course, to keep our lineage uh together, man. You're not needed for that, you know. You're just a incubator pretty much. We don't need you to continue the lineage of the Israelites. We can do that with other nations of women. So you're really not needed. That's what they don't understand. They don't understand that, of
children will
course.
continue to suffer. Elaborate
Or that dude don't.
on some of that. So, but I need you to elaborate when you say black women aren't here to build. What do you mean by it? Do you mean that if they hadn't have ever got broken, that still would have been their assignment to destroy the black community?
I think that if the culture was a change, things would change, obviously.
Now, let me find that scripture. Uprooteth a foundation. Let me see what that says. Like, what the fuck is that? Let's see. A good man build a foundation, and a woman, a woman uproots it. I don't think that's not Proverbs. It's not Proverbs 14:1. It's like uh 16:11. Let's so like let me see if it's Proverbs 14:1. I don't believe it's Proverbs 14:1 though, because that shit's not. I don't think that's right. I don't want to say that shit. We can say we can. This is all right, but I don't really want to use this. Proverbs 14:1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucks it down with her hand. Our women are foolish, bro. Why you think it said my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge? Because I've rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Paraphrasing. I hate that I can't find this precept because I know as soon as I turn this lesson off, I'm gonna find it. It's in the KJV somewhere. I mean, it's in the it's in the apocrypha. A good man builds a foundation, and a woman destroys it. Bro, this shit, bro. It's okay. The spirit just don't want it to come out right now. It's fine. I'm not gonna keep pressing the issue. But let me get this though. It's gonna continue on.
Have a lot of influence on other younger black women. You can't really get away from it until you wipe the slate clean. So something has to happen to remove these particular black women from the scenario.
Yeah, and then you realize what's been happening in this scenario. But the Lord's gonna destroy 2/3 of our people, which are majority women, bro. Majority of women. Because women they don't believe in the Lord. They only believe in things that they can see. They have no women weren't born with uh faith. Yeah, they weren't born with faith. Only men have faith. Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, two-thirds, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein, and that's the elect, which is made up one third is an innumerable multitude, including the 144,000, which is all men, and the one third is an innumerable multitude is made up of women and children, and some men who weren't physically able to be in her on the highways and the byways, who had limitations, but there's very few men in that number. And I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name. And I will hear them. I will say it is my people. They shall say that I was my God. And the Lord is going to delete them through two means. Jacob's trouble. I'm talking about in mass numbers. Through Jacob's trouble and through the second death, which is the lake of fire and brimstone. That's how most of our people are going to be deluded, how the Lord's going to cleanse the earth of these wicked ass
And then
women.
we can build proper. But as long as it's
To give this brother all of the smoke to this understanding.
years ago, and I discovered that if you, as a black man, if you want to be an active father in your children's lives, your children almost have to be mixed because the black American woman.
There's no such thing as being mixed, but I can get this real quick. The book of Genesis, going back to it. Yeah, ever since she made the deal with the devil, ever since Eve took that fruit, shit has been in shambles as far as just life in general for us as people. Genesis 3:16, that opened the floodgates of sin in the world. Unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, which was one of the curses that the Lord put on them. And I already talked about that the other day. And Sarah, thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you. And you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you, right? That's why our Jake women are naturally born with that shit. They naturally want to be hard as hell and want to rule over their man until they meet a
Will
real
not
man.
allow you to be in your children's life. And the more you love that child, the more she's going to use the child against you.
Damn.
It's
That is why. It even says that in Genesis the 20th, I mean Deuteronomy the 20th chapter. But that's why a lot of these jakes, these niggas in the world, they are brainwashed to that fact. You supposed to treat a woman kindly. You supposed to do this and that for her. Um, and they don't realize that our women don't even fucking love us. They don't show us no loyalty, none of that shit. You know, they're only loyal to how they feel in the moment. And really, the Jake woman hates your ass, Jake. They really hate you. But these simpleton ass niggas not gonna be able to see that.
This brother's up here dropping that ether. Have you witnessed this before in your immediate proximity, in your family's life, and in friends' lives, things like that? The difficulty
absolutely.
associated with it.
I'm pretty sure any Jake man has witnessed that in their life at some point in time. It's either from somebody they know or on the internet, but witnessing it in real life is very common in our community.
I respect
Trying to
everyone. I
tell you,
love
but as soon as
everyone. You do
that shit
whatever
get
you
too
want to
long,
do. But if you're a thinking black man, I don't think you can sit down and try to build with a black American woman. Maybe an African woman.
you can't because they don't want to. You can't. You can't. It's impossible. Esau have made it impossible, and they've made it impossible too. For all of these philosophy, right? You had the four. What was it? Whoredom, lesbianism, uh, whoredom, lesbianism. What was the other one? Feminism, and what was the fourth one? Salaki. I'm thinking about that chart that the elder Ashayar from GMS Charlotte posted, and I did a lesson on it about a month or two ago. So like I can't remember the fourth one, but those are Four of the main philosophies Esau Edom brought into the world and bestowed upon women as a whole. And our Jake women are in a fucking chokehold behind that shit.
You guys know me. If I were to try to give him some pushback, you guys would, because quality men won't lay down with women like this. So that means these women will only other options they'll have is to lay down with other broken men. And then what do you think comes out of that vahoo when a broken man lies down with a broken woman?
Us. She does not respect us. She does not love us. And we have to accept that. But we
Yeah, they don't love us and they don't respect us. This is a
can
fact.
build beautiful families just by going to women who appreciate us.
These people have not. They want these things moved like pawns. You know what I mean? Things where they want these things moved like
Right, you
American
made a
women will
good
be
point right there.
used as the tool to destroy America. In that show, we were talking about how these women are.
They be used as a tool to destroy America. Look at all of the women that's the so-called black. Look at the famous ones, and then look at their characteristics and what they promote to the youth. And it's never nothing good. It's never nothing to be proud of, right? But the other nations don't suffer from those things, you know. That's because we're under the curses, you know. Women are completely taking hold of, these philosophies, man. They can't be relinquished from it. Which is why the only answer is death by pain through the means of Yahweh Shemel Shah. Because you've had too many men who tried, and that's not gonna get nowhere, you know. We've exhausted all our resources. So that's why you see more and more men, really more and more women who are unto our men, because we've gotten a bad rep through the years, of course. And I can't sit here and say that uh, we have a lot of men in society who are promoting or being upheld like that, because you do have those Jakes who promote us in a bad light, but it's not completely all bad like the Jake woman. Their rap is way worse. They're not even desired by the other nations. We're actually desired by the other nation. That's the difference. The other nations of women actually desire us more than their own men. You don't see no other nation of men that's really going out here and real deal want to deal with no fucking black woman. You're not gonna see that often. I see more. I see way more Jake men with other nations of women than I see Jake women with other nations of men, and that's a fact.
Literally being utilized as the hands of the powers that be to move things where they want these things moved like pawns. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've given women that control because, like you said, they know that the Jake woman mostly is single, and they're not gonna fall under submission of a man.
They have to check in with their husbands before they make significant moves, and they're a little bit
Yeah,
more difficult to control when they have a husband. Just like studies show that women spend more than everybody, and with the show, when you hear that, I'm probably about to rock the boat a little bit. I believe as women come out of the vagina, they are innately bad people until they come up under the authority of a man.
Yes.
and he's not lying. Like I made my one lesson. Are women wicked? And the answer to that is yes. You know, he said, I believe that women never grow up. They're just children. They never become adults. That's a fact. Just look at the tendencies of a woman. Look at the tendencies of your mama. She does stuff based on how she feels at the time, bro. I said it about my mama or any other mother of a guy that I'm cool with, a homie, worldly friend. They do shit based on how they feel, and they learn that at a very young age. But that shit don't work in society. You know,
I believe
it only works to a certain extent.
that our grandmothers and our aunties, who everybody brags about, and I'm talking about, oh, this amazing behavior, the what did we call it? Traditional women.
Yeah, they were hoes. You haven't had no traditional women for real, for a while now. I can't even think back, really,
Grandmothers and
for a
people like
while.
that, it's because of how the men were governing those women.
You wasn't letting them, like that dude said, they'll keep their
Because we
hoes covered.
know that if God saw that there was an issue with men and the cure to a car gas tank, which is the same thing with women who God Almighty said you are to be. For those of you who have never come to a good example of what a helpmate is, view it as a type of personal assistant that a man is responsible for, who he can also love and create a family with. That is a helpmate. Now, what happens when the helpmate, the personal assistant, says, you know what, God, I appreciate that position that you gave me, but I'm going to respectfully decline. I'd like to be CEO.
That's why I always say, man, a lot of these majority of women have abandoned they true God given job, right? They've veered more than men have. You don't have a lot of men who just like, you know what? I'm not finna provide or protect for my family because that's not acceptable. Men have to take responsibility for their actions. Women aren't given that same responsibility. So
This is what we're seeing today. You disagree?
Not at all. I think that a woman is permanently a child. I mean, she can grow old, but she can never become a mature adult because her feelings are always more important than the truth, than reality. So, giving any woman any measure of authority, I think you're definitely going to doom that population. Whites knew this, so they gave black women all the authority.
100%. 100%.
yeah, they're not made to be in points of rulership and authority, man. Like you said, they're not meant to be in points of authority, rulership, none of that stuff. Because if they were, then the fucking world would end, bro. I mean, that's just the best way I could put it. They're gonna make decisions based on how they feel. They're not gonna show up because they have a stomach ache, they head hurt. They're not gonna show up because they have period cramps. They're not gonna talk to you because they don't like the way you sounded when you said it, or they didn't like your tone of voice. There's too many factors that come in with. So that's why the Lord said what He said. You know, from a woman became sin, and through her we all die. First Timothy 2:11. Let the woman learn it in silence with all subjection. Suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. You had a woman on here today. I've seen a video by the Elder Menachem Zachariah talking about some, with the scriptures speak on this as well. Talking about some, yeah, men made up religion and they made up God so that they could cope with the fact that they can't that they can't create life like our women can. You know how idiotic that sounds? But that's okay though. The scriptures already say that. We have people who are going to question whether or not the creation made the creator. Are you crazy? Like Kanye West said, crazy. Like that's just stupid. But it says for Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Okay? So that's it. That's all I got for y'all today. Lord willing, the lesson was edifying to those out there listening and watching. Close it off there by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua Ba'ashem, HaKadosh. Until next time I say Shalom, Israel, Shalom. And as always, we one day closer to the kingdom, man. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Shalom, Israel.